Sophia's POV. As the night wore on, the VIP lounge gradually emptied out, leaving a hushed calm in place of the earlier chaos. My hands ached from mixing drinks and cleaning, but a sense of accomplishment filled me. I'd managed to survive my first shift despite the unexpected drama with Vincent. I still couldn't believe that he of all people owned this place. Glancing at the clock, I noticed it was nearing 2 a.m. The bar was nearly spotless, and the last few patrons were making their way downstairs. I let out a sigh of relief, my body finally relaxing as I wiped down the bar one last time. Tito appeared at the top of the stairs, his face lighting up as he saw me, offering me a positive thumbs up, to which I returned. But before he could reach the bar to talk to me, Vincent intercepted him like a wild animal hunting down its prey. I watched them exchange quiet words, Vincent's face a storm of anger and frustration as he pointed in my direction, which caused me to gulp. Tito nodded, his expression unreadable, but his eyes flicked toward me with something akin to reassurance. My stomach twisted with anxiety. What was Vincent saying about me now? Was Tito going to fire me? He didn't look too pleased, but maybe that was just his face? Before I could dwell on it, Daryl approached the bar. "You did a good job tonight, best cider that I've ever had poured," he said, his voice a soothing balm to my frazzled nerves caused by Vincent's outburst. "Tito's a good guy. He'll look after you in here too," he adds, noticing the direction in which I stared. "And yeah, I like him. And anyway, why do you all come down here for drinks? Haven't you ever been caught?" I replied, my voice soft. "Vincent owns the place, so we can't really get caught, sweetheart." Daryl laughs, as I chew my lip to stifle a giggle. "On a school night too." Daryl leaned against the bar, his eyes meeting mine with genuine concern. "It's really late," he said, glancing down at his watch. "Let me walk. Why? Oh, you home?" I hesitated, embarrassment suddenly washing over me. "It's fine, really," I insisted, trying to sound confident. The last thing I wanted was for him to see where I lived, to realize just how precarious my situation was. Daryl's brows furrowed, not buying my dismissal. "Sophia, it's 2 a.m. and it's pitch dark outside. It's not safe for you to walk home alone. Don't be stupid." My mind raced for an excuse, knowing that he didn't seem to be budging with it being so late. I'm surprised he even cares so much. But he does seem to be a gentleman that way, he would do this for anybody. Well, my brother is actually meeting me," I lied, forcing a casual tone. "He'd be pissed if he saw some guy walking me home too. He's really protective, a true pain in the ass to be honest." I force a laugh, as Daryl nods slowly, seeming to not fully buy my story. Daryl's concern eventually melted into a chuckle, his shoulders relaxing. All right, he said, holding up his hands in mock surrender. "I get it. Big brother's rules. Baby sis must stay away from all cock," he remarks, causing me to almost choke on a laugh. I managed a genuine smile, relieved that he finally decided to believe me. "Exactly. But thanks for offering though. I do seriously appreciate it, and for defending me with keeping the job," I add, knowing he was the reason I still stood behind this very bar. He nodded, still smiling. "Just be careful, okay? If you ever need anything, you know where to find me. I'm sure I'll see you often enough at school and in here," he hums, as I blush slightly, unsure if he was truly trying to flirt with me or whether my brain was playing tricks on me. "I will," I promised, my heart warming at his concern. As he turned to leave, Tito was the next to approach, his expression a mix of tiredness and resolve. Vincent had already disappeared downstairs, probably to brood or cause trouble elsewhere, or perhaps to get me out of eyeshot as quickly as possible. He had a serious problem with me, and I couldn't figure out why. "Hey, Sophia," Tito greeted, his tone gentle. "How was your first night on the job?" "It was good," I said, forcing a smile. "A bit overwhelming, but really good." Tito nodded, his eyes kind. "You did great. Don't worry about Vincent. He's complicated. But he's a good owner. Young, but he knows his shit, that one," Tito commends, as I chew my lip in thought of Vincent being the owner of the whole place. "How could that be? I do have some bad news though." Tito sighs, as my heart suddenly sinks with fear that he was actually going to fire me. "He's done it. Vincent told him to let me go." "Oh, does he want me gone already?" I blunder, only causing for Tito's brows to knit together. "What? No, not that. He just asked if I can cut down your days some more. He said Wednesday to Saturday is too much for you on top of school," Tito explains, as my mouth pops open in shock. What does he know? Who is he to make that decision? That I can't handle my damn workload? What an ass. I need as much money as I can get. The good news is though, before you freak, He told me to pay you the same as what we agreed on, and you'll only be working a Wednesday and Saturday for it now too. He explains, as my heart thunders from within my chest. That sounds ridiculous. The same pay for half of the work? Are you sure you heard him right? That's a whole lot for only doing 2 days. I exclaim as he chuckles and shakes his head. He insisted, told me to keep you up here too, so he must like you. Tito adds with a wink, as my face quickly contorts to one of horror. I doubt that very much. Despite Vincent's outburst, I still had my job, albeit with fewer hours, which was shocking. I guess he figured he would only see me less if he cuts down my days, right? Maybe his tiny heart wouldn't let him leave me short on money either. But then again, this was the same man who forced me to buy his lunch for 2 days in a row without consideration for what funds I had. He was simply more confusing than space itself. The night air was sharp and cold as I stepped outside, the chill seeping through my thin layer. Hugging my arms tighter around myself, I began the familiar walk home. The streets were eerily quiet at this hour, the only sounds being the occasional hum of a distant car and the soft rustle of leaves. My thoughts drifted to Vincent and the unexpected turn the night had taken. His sudden concern for my well-being, despite his initial anger, puzzled me. Why would he care how many hours I worked? And why did he insist I stay in the VIP section too? It didn't make sense. Was he trying to protect me, in his own twisted way? Or was there another reason behind his somewhat generous actions? The wind picked up, making me shiver as I quickened my pace. My drab little apartment was just a few blocks away, and I couldn't wait to get inside and away from the biting cold, although the flat wasn't much warmer. The journey always felt longer at night, every shadow seeming more menacing than it did in the daylight. Finally, I reached my building. The paint was peeling, and the steps creaked underfoot as I climbed up to my apartment on the second floor. The familiarity of the place was both comforting and depressing all the same. It was far from perfect, but it was mine, or at least, it was for now. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, the small warmth of the apartment a welcome contrast to the cold air outside. I poured myself a glass of water and sat down at the small table, my thoughts racing. Despite everything, I was grateful to still have my job. It meant I could keep paying the bills and, for now, stay in my little apartment in this town. As I sipped my water, I made a mental note to be extra careful around Vincent. He was unpredictable, and I needed to stay on his good side if I wanted to keep this job up. Shaking off the day's events, I decided to get some rest. The morning would come too soon, and I needed to be ready for school in the early morning. Exhaustion took over, leading me into a restless sleep filled with dreams of bright lights, loud laughter, and the piercing eyes of Vincent watching my every move. Sophia's POV morning arrived far too quickly, with the bright sun shining through the blinds once again welcoming me to a new day. I groaned, my body protesting as I forced myself out of bed, if you could even call my blanketed spot on the floor my bed. The events of last night still swirled in my mind, mingling with the remnants of restless dreams. I had survived my first shift at Vincent's bar, but the uneasy tension between us lingered like a dark cloud, making me think over when I would next see him with fears that he would perhaps change his mind and fire me. After a quick shower, I dressed in my usual school attire, simple jeans and a tee. The cold morning air nipped at my face as I stepped outside, my breath visible in the frigid air. It had started to get pretty cold, and I heard some men at the bar last night talking about a storm that was approaching, which only filled me with dread. I didn't have any warm clothes or waterproofs if it were to rain, but perhaps with my new job somewhat secured I could visit the store again and pick some new items up. I continued to walk briskly to school, my mind replaying the strange interaction with Vincent last night as I had met them in the last place I ever expected to. Why had he insisted on cutting my hours while keeping my pay the same? The more I thought about it, the more baffling it seemed. I managed to reach the school building in record time, probably wanting to get out of the cold as quickly as I could, and I welcomed the warmth of the place with open arms. It was another day of physical ed on the cards, and I again didn't bring any suitable clothes for it. Great! I hated the whole atmosphere of the class. Too, with the bitchy girls and rowdy guys drooling over them every 2 seconds, it was sheer hormones on heat. The bell rang, signaling the start of my morning misery, as I dragged my feet towards the gym halls, hoping for something drastic to have happened in order for the class to be cancelled. But I was being hopeful, approaching to find the same guy teacher from before, standing in the same dull gray uniform with a whistle hung around his neck. Maria, is it? He greets me, causing 2 of the nearby girls to snigger at him, calling me by the wrong name. Sophia. I correct quietly, as he squints as though I wasn't being truthful. Why the heck would I lie about my own name? Go change, we are doing rugby indoors. He pushes, as I fidget with my fingers in fear of what he would say when I again explain that I don't have any change of clothes. I don't actually have anything to wear. I forgot. I mumble, trying to keep the other girls from hearing my admission. Oh, so you're going to be one of those ones, are you? Hates exercise? Good thing we have spare clothes for the likes of you, go find something in the box. He points towards a large plastic box in the corner, as my eyes almost pop out of their sockets. I walk over to the red box with slow steps, my heart sinking as I rifled through its contents. The clothes inside were a chaotic mix of sizes and colors, most of them looking well-worn and unwashed. Reluctantly, I pulled out a pair of oversized shorts and a too-small shirt that had a faded school logo barely visible. The outfit was mismatched and ill-fitting, but it was all I had. I trudged my way to the girls' changing room, trying to ignore the growing pit of dread in my stomach at showing them my outfit. Inside, the air was thick with the sounds of chatter and laughter to which I didn't fit into in any way, shape, or form. I quickly changed, feeling the eyes of the other girls peering towards me, their whispers barely conseil. Led. Nice outfit, Maria, one of them sneered, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she had overheard my change of name kindly granted to me by the teacher just moments before. I kept my head down, focusing on tying my sneakers back up, hoping that they would just get bored and would leave me alone. Oh my god, she looks like a clown in that outfit, another one chimed in, and the group erupted into even more giggles. I forced myself to stay silent, letting their words wash over me. There was no point in responding, it would only make things worse. Hey, why aren't you saying anything, huh? A tall girl with perfectly styled hair demanded, stepping closer. She was one of the queen bees of the class clearly, always surrounded by admirers and lackeys. I didn't look up, keeping my eyes on my laces. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence, and I could feel her frustration growing at my lack of acknowledgement, but I didn't know what else to do. Hey, I'm fucking talking to you, bitch, she snapped, grabbing my ponytail and yanking it hard. I screamed instantly, the pain shooting through my scalp as she pulled me right down until my knees hit the tiles. My hands flew up to my head, trying to free myself from her grip, but she only tightened her hold, dragging me around the changing room next. The other girls laughed, their amusement echoing off the walls as they all enjoyed the drama of the incident at my expense. Please let go of me, I pleaded, my voice breaking out in a cry, drowned out by more laughter and snide remarks. But she didn't listen, her grip unyielding. Tears of pain and humiliation blurred my vision as I tried to twist free. Suddenly, the door to the changing room flew open, and the gym teacher stormed in, his face a mask of fury and no care for whether or not we were all decent. What on earth is going on in here? He boomed, his eyes darting between us both. The tall girl finally released me, and I stumbled to my feet, clutching my head. They were fighting, Sophia started it, one of the other girls said quickly, a smirk playing on her lips. The teacher glared at both of us, his nostrils flaring. Fighting, huh? Both of you, detention for the rest of the day. I won't tolerate this kind of behavior in my class. But I started, my voice shaking, but he cut me off instantly. I don't want to hear it. Detention, for the both of you. Now, he yelled. I looked at the girl who had attacked me, a triumphant glint in her eye. My heart sank. There was no use in arguing, it was her word against mine. And I already knew who they would believe, especially with the backup of the whole class. With a heavy sigh, I gathered my things and trudged to detention, my scalp still throbbing and hair messy from the assault. The unfairness of it all stung, but I kept my head down, determined not to let them see how much they had hurt me. Detention was a small, dreary room at the back of the school, the walls lined with old textbooks and faded posters. I slumped into a chair, feeling the weight of exhaustion and frustration settle over me. The tall girl sauntered in a few minutes later, taking a seat across from me. She shot me a smug look, clearly enjoying my misery. I stared at the desk, trying my best to block her out. This day was just getting worse and worse, and all I could do was endure it. Couldn't I have one decent day at this school? Sophia's POV. The minutes dragged by in detention, each second feeling like an eternity trapped in hell. I stared blankly at the old, graffiti-scarred desk in front of me, trying to push away the day's humiliations. My head throbbed where that girl had yanked my ponytail, and I rubbed the sore spot absently, glancing up at the clock to see that it wasn't even 10 yet. Just when I thought my day couldn't get any worse, the door creaked open, but I didn't bother looking up, assuming that it was just another student arriving to join us in our sorrow. But the heavy footsteps and grumble of the person followed by the sudden silence in the room made me glance up in curiosity only to find Vincent standing by the doorway, his sharp eyes scanning the room in boredom. But when they eventually landed on me, they widened in shock for a split second before narrowing back into a pissed-off glare. What is he doing here this early in the day? He walked in with an air of authority, taking a seat near the back. His presence immediately commanding the room filled with only 5 of us, the usual whispers and murmurs falling into a tense silence. The girl opposite me, who had been smirking at my misery, straightened up, her eyes lighting up with sudden interest as I watched her whole demeanor shift before my very eyes. "Hey there," she purred, flipping her hair over her shoulder and flashing him a dazzling smile. "Didn't expect to see someone like you in here at this time. You really are the school's bad boy, aren't you?" I looked at her in horror, feeling nauseous at her bleak attempt to flirt, before I glanced across to Vincent as he ignored her, his gaze still locked on me with confusion evident in his eyes. I shifted uncomfortably under his scrutiny, wondering why he was here and what he was currently thinking. Undeterred, the girl leaned closer, batting her eyelashes. "So, what did you do to end up in detention? Must be a good story and I would love to hear it," she hums, as I cringe at her second attempt. It was so forced and unnatural, as though she was almost desperate for him to acknowledge her even in the slightest way. Vincent's expression remained stony. "None of your fucking business," he said curtly, his voice low and dismissive with a wave of his wrist. The girl's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered, trying a different tactic once more. "Well, maybe we can make this detention a little more interesting together," she said, her tone now suggestive as she tried to proceed with seduct. "Ing him next. Oh dear. Does Vincent get this a lot? First the 2 cheerleaders and now the wicked witch of my gym class? What a lucky guy." Vincent didn't even look at her though. "I doubt that you could make anything interesting," he muttered under his breath, loud enough for everyone to still hear him as he spoke. The girl's face reddened, and she shot me a glare as if this were somehow my fault. "Aren't you already fucking half of the basketball team, Erica? I don't want to catch something," he retorts, loud and proud this time, causing a couple of guys to snigger from down the front. Erica, that was the name of my abuser that Vincent had no shame in mocking now. Horrified, Erica turns her back on him swiftly, folding her arms over like a stubborn rejected child. I breathed out a sigh and decided to keep my eyes down, hoping to avoid drawing any further attention from her or Vincent for that matter. But Vincent wasn't done. "Why are you in here, Sophia? Plus what is up with your hair today? It looks like a nest?" he asks me suddenly, his voice cutting through the tension in the room as my eyes widen. I glanced up, surprised to see genuine curiosity in his eyes as opposed to basic slander. I was attacked in class," I said quietly. "But the teacher didn't believe me and said I was in a fight, so I was sent here." I admit, glancing quickly towards the witch who was to blame before turning my eyes back to him. He frowned, his jaw suddenly tightening at the explanation. "Attacked? By who exactly?" He pushes on, clearly already knowing the answer himself but wanting to hear me say it. Before I could even answer, the girl opposite me spoke up, her voice defensive. "It was just a misunderstanding. There is no need to make a big deal out of it as though I was bullying you. You were asking for it, she was rude to me first." Erica complains, as I refrain from rolling my eyes at her defenses. Vincent's glare shifted to her, and she visibly wilt. He under his scrutiny. "A misunderstanding that put Sophia in detention with her hair looking like that? How come your hair looks fine?" he asked coldly. "Doesn't sound like nothing to me." He sneers, as I study his reaction closely, unsure of why he even cared. The girl stammered, trying to find a way out of the situation. "I mean, we were just messing around. No harm done, right?" She shrugs, as I lick my drying lips from nerves. Vincent's eyes flickered back to me, his expression unreadable. "Is that true, Sophia? Was it a little misunderstanding or was this bitch causing problems for no reason? Don't lie to me either," he warns, as I suddenly feel torn on what to do or say. I shook my head, my voice trembling and deciding to stick by my gut with telling the truth. "No." She pulled my hair and dragged me around the changing room because I didn't answer her when she was making fun of me. I cleared my throat and spoke out, as though he was the voice of reason in it all. "Vincent Walker, the voice of reason? How strange." Vincent's expression darkened, and he turned back to the girl. "Is that what really happened? You were just acting like a dirty little fucking rat for fun?" he demanded to know, his voice dangerously low now enough to cause the hairs on the backs of your arms to stand. The girl shrank back, unable to meet his gaze now, which I found slightly amusing. I didn't mean to hurt her," she mumbled. Vincent stood up, his presence looming over the whole room. "Apologize to her then," he commanded, shocking me even further as my mouth fell open at the sight of his reaction. Whoa, what is he doing? What is going on? She hesitated, glancing around as if looking for an escape. But Vincent's glare left no room for argument. Geez. Alright, calm down, look, I'm sorry, she muttered, her voice barely audible as she flicked her wrist in dismissal of me. Vincent nodded, satisfied by her words, then turned to me. Are you okay after what this cow did to you? He insults her openly, however she remains silent, her face flushed and furious as she lowers her head. I nodded, still stunned by the turn of events, and for his defense. Yeah, I'll be fine. I find myself saying, feeling weird about the whole mood I had caught him in today. He was unpredictable at this point. I never knew what mood I would get when I saw him, and yet he just defended me. He gave me a curt nod, before he addressed the entire room. Anyone else have a problem with little Sophia today? He announces, seeming to be looking for some further battles to win. The room was silent, the other students avoiding his gaze altogether. Vincent turned back to me, his expression softening slightly. If anyone bothers you again, you can let me know. He states, his words shocking me to my core. What? I splutter, the word escaping my lips before I could even stop it. What? You are my staff now after all. I won't let bad shit happen to my staff. He shrugs, playing it off cool, as I wondered why he was showing me a much kinder side to him today. Maybe this was the not-so-bad side to Vincent that Daryl had spoken about. Sophia's POV. The final bell of the day rang, a merciful end to what had felt like the longest school day of my life. I gathered my things, slung my worn-out backpack over my shoulder, and made my way out of the building, grateful to be free of the stifling atmosphere and the ever-watchful eyes of my tormentor in detention. Although, I did have Vincent to thank, since the tall girl chose to leave me alone for the remainder of the school day, barely looking at me with that. The chilly breeze greeted me as I stepped outside, a reminder of the storm that was rumored to be on its way. I shivered and pulled my thin layer tighter around myself with a final thought in mind. I was a working woman now, and I could afford to spend some money on warmer clothes. If the storm was coming, I needed to prepare for it. With newfound determination, I headed into town, aiming for the thrift store where I could hopefully find some affordable, cheap bargains once again. The bell above the thrift store door jingled as I entered, the familiar musty smell of second-hand goods greeting me. I breathed in deeply, feeling a sense of purpose as I surveyed the room, deciding on which area to start in. I began my search, sifting through the many racks of clothes with practiced ease. My fingers grazed over an old but sturdy waterproof jacket, and I added it to my growing pile of finds. Next, I picked out a couple of thick sweaters, a pair of jeans that looked almost new, and some practical sneakers which didn't seem to have anything wrong with them other than a scuff or two. In the corner, a simple black gym set caught my eye. It had a tiny stain on the ankle, but it was barely noticeable and reduced to a price I could easily afford, $4. I smiled, relieved that I wouldn't have to face the embarrassment of wearing mismatched clothes from the school's lost and found box ever again. With my arms full, I turned to head for the checkout, but I didn't see the girl coming around the corner due to the mountain pile I was carrying in my arms. We collided with a thud, and my clothes scattered everywhere as I fell backwards. I landed with a soft oof and looked up to find a girl with messy brown hair and glasses, her face flushed with sheer panic and embarrassment. Oh my gosh, I am seriously so sorry for this, the girl exclaimed, her hands flying up to her mouth in horror. She quickly knelt down to help gather the fallen clothes back up for me as she continued to ramble on. I wasn't looking where I was going. Are you okay? I nodded, feeling a bit dazed but more surprised than hurt. Yeah, I'm fine. It's okay, really don't worry about it. I smile, pushing myself back up as she blinks profusely. The girl's hands moved frantically as she picked up the clothes, proceeding to talk a mile a minute. I'm such a klutz. My mom always says I'm like a tornado in a china shop. I hope I didn't ruin anything. I'm just here to find some books for school, and I got distracted by that jacket over there. It's really nice, don't you think? Oh, sorry, I'm rambling again. I do that when I'm nervous about things. She explains, as I giggle a little at her character. She reminded me of someone from a fairy tale novel with her big doe-like eyes and quirky style as she stood in a pair of burnt orange paint-covered dungarees and brown ankle boots. I couldn't help but smile at the girl's nervous chatter. It's all right. Really. I'm Sophia, by the way. I decide to introduce myself, finding her to be friendly enough for a conversation. The girl looked up, pushing her glasses up her nose with a shy smile. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you, Sophia. As we finished picking up the clothes, I realized quickly that I liked Emma's odd but endearing personality and decided to attempt to continue conversing with her more. We began to chat more easily, discovering that we both attended the same school, which was a bonus. Yeah, I've seen you around this week, Emma said, folding a pair of jeans neatly before handing them back to me. You're in my English class, I think? I saw Vincent Walker toss something at you the other day. I would die if he did that to me. He's utterly terrifying, that one. She babbles on, as I chuckle and agree. Yeah, I replied, feeling a warmth I hadn't experienced in a while. I usually sit closer to the back with my head down, but yet, Vincent likes to test me when he can, it seems. I breathe out a smile, unsure of my feelings towards him after last night saving my job and today saving me from that dreadful girl Erica. Emma nodded, her eyes lighting up with recognition. That's right. I sit in the row behind you near the window. I don't have many friends, so I tend to just keep to myself. But maybe we could sit together at lunch tomorrow? I mean, only if you would want to? I totally get it if you don't, by the way, no pressure. She shrugs and trails off once more on an endless rant. My heart swelled with gratitude. I'd like that. It gets pretty lonely sitting alone, doesn't it? I offer my understanding, as she seems grateful for it with a quick nod. Yeah, it does, Emma agreed, smiling. It's a deal then. We'll sit together tomorrow. It might just help pass the days a little quicker for us both, right? She chuckles. With our new random friendship solidified at the thrift store, we made our way back over to the checkout together, with Emma helping to carry my items for me, which was kind. As I paid for my stuff, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Not only had I prepared for the upcoming storm, but I had also made a new friend, a small, but significant victory in my otherwise tumultuous life. This would mean more to me than what she could ever know, knowing that I could look out for her friendly face during school. As we left the thrift store, Emma waved goodbye with a cheerful, "See you tomorrow then, Sophia," before heading across the road to the bus stop. See you tomorrow, Emma, I replied, my heart lighter than it had been in a long time. Moving down the street with my shopping bags in hand, I refrained from skipping joyfully, happier than ever to have upgraded my wardrobe slightly along with making a new friend. The day had started terribly for me, with my encounter in the girls' changing room, but it felt almost as though I had been rewarded for putting up with the tall girl's behavior, being granted a down-to-earth potential friend. As I made my way home, the sky began to darken, clouds rolling in like an ominous blanket. The storm was definitely coming, but for once, I felt prepared for it. My bags were heavy with new, to me, clothes, and I couldn't wait to get home to add them to my slowly growing collection. When I finally reached home, I unpacked my finds, feeling a sense of pride at my thrifty purchases. Each item felt like a small victory against the struggles I faced daily. I don't know what I would have done without the trendy little store with its seemingly great prices. I would still have the same couple of outfits from when I had first arrived. I hung the waterproof jacket near the door, ready for the impending weather, and placed the new items in a folded pile on the floor. Placing my hands on my hips, glancing around at the dull apartment without any furnishings, I began to dream up what I could eventually do with the place once I start getting paid from intensity. Things weren't great, but I would take this place over going back home any day. This was my freedom.